Hello and welcome back to Planet 40k. Today we're going to be briefly touching upon some of the new info for units from the new Deathguard Codex. So previously in the first video we touched upon some of the leaks, which were the bloat drones, the plague crawler, the defiler, typhus and the blight hauler. So in part 2 we went over how the new plague marine datasheet would operate, along with the blight lord terminators and the death shroud terminators. So in today's part 3 we're going to be covering Mortarion himself, the possessed and the new Deathguard fortification, the miasmic Melania Fire. So before we get stuck in, if you are new around here, please hit that subscribe button below not to miss out on any future leaks. We also mainly cover review and tactic videos for units across the 40k universe, so if that's something you'll be into, then yeah, hit that subscribe button below. So kicking us off today, we've got the main man himself, Mortarion. So this one's not actually a leak, as Warhammer community have released his datasheet and abilities too. So looking at the new datasheet, lots of info here to get through, starting with his power level. That is actually remaining at 25, so his points should also remain at 490. He has gained a few new keywords, which will interact with how the new codex will work. So he's got the Supreme Commander keyword and the Primarch keyword, so he can now be taken without spending CP, as he's a Lord of War unit. He's also gained the Bubonic Astartes keyword, which will most likely interact with some stratagems within the codex. As for stat line, he's now toughness 8 instead of toughness 7, which is fantastic. He's not going to be getting gunned down so easily and so early. His attacks have gone up from attack 6 to attack 7, so another lovely buff here, especially as he's a combat menace. The extra attack filters down into the bracketed table too, so between 6 and 9 wounds he's going to have 6 attacks, and under 5 wounds he's going to have 5. So that's 2 solid buffs right from the off. Looking at his abilities, now of course Disgustingly Resilient has now changed from being a 5+ feel no pain roll to a -1 to all damage taken to a minimum of 1. So this works quite nicely against multi-damage weapons in particular. He's now got the new Contagion of Nurgle ability, which is a -1 to enemy toughnesses that are within a certain range. So for each battle round, the range of the stink increases. So battle round 1, the contagion range is 1 inch. Battle round 2, the contagion range is 3 inch. Battle round 3, the contagion range is 6 inch. And finally, battle round 4 and onwards, the contagion range is 9 inch. So what this means is as soon as you enter combat in any battle round, you're throwing a -1 to enemy toughnesses instantly, which is massive, as you're wounding standard toughness 4 infantry on 2s with only strength 6 weapons, and that's army wide. However, Mortarion has a new ability called Toxic Presence, which counts him as already being in battle round 4 for the purpose of this table. So anyone within 9 inches of him suffers a -1 to their toughness, which is mega, as it opens the door to a lot of new tactical play with him, throwing him up the middle of the board and having certain strength 6 and strength 7 weapons wounding on 2s. And that 9 inch is quite a bit of a bubble when placed upon a Mortarion's base itself, because it's quite a big base. He seems to have lost his Death to the False Emperor ability and Hateful Assault, which may explain why he's got an additional attack in his stat line. He's now got Demon Primarch, so if your army is battle forged, then this model must be your warlord. And Host of Plagues has seen a total rework to the ability. Now it's an ability to give Mortarion a warlord trait from a select list. So now this list implies that you have to use one of the plague traits only, so not as flexible as it used to be with all the other warlord traits. I'm not that keen on this one, as the Host of Plagues used to be an ability to throw out mortal wounds within 7 inches of Mortarion while in the fight phase. That unfortunately is now gone. Primarch of the Deathguard has changed in a few ways. In fact, it's divided into 2 separate rules. So the first rule is named Primarch of the Deathguard. In your command phase, you select one Deathguard core unit or Deathguard character that is within 6 inches of Mortarion. Until the start of your next command phase, each model in that unit can reroll their hit rolls. So it's very much like a chapter master, that one. Then the second part is Lord of the Deathguard, which is an aura ability. So while a friendly Deathguard core unit is within 6 inches of the model, each time the unit makes an attack, you reroll hit rolls of 1. So the first part of the rule, you're selecting a unit for rerolling all hits, and the second part is an aura, where you don't select anyone, but they just reroll hit rolls of 1. Next we've got Putrid Demise, which now has been renamed Putrid Explosion, which has slightly been nerfed actually. It's now only a 6 inch explosion instead of a 7 inch. Then finally that 4+ in-run save is still there, thankfully. Now that's his abilities. Next we're going to go over changes to his weapon, starting off with the Lantern. This unfortunately has dropped 6 inches to only a 12 inch weapon, but everything else there does seem as it was, so a slight nerf there. The Attendant's Claws and Teeth haven't changed, and the Phosphix bombs haven't either. Next is Silence. So the Reaping Scythe is the same, however the Eviscerating Blow has been slightly altered from being a damage D6 weapon to a damage D3+3 weapon. So this has actually fell in line with a lot of D6 weapons within the 9th edition, so a welcomed one as well, as D6 was so unreliable. So he's still a psyker of course, and takes 3 pounds from the contagion discipline while being able to use 2 of them, and he can also still deny 3. So that's Mortarion's new datasheet, loads of changes to get your teeth into there. Next we've got the Possess, which will only take a moment to get through. So according to Warhammer community, the number of attacks for the Possess will not be random anymore with their rhyming tentacles, and instead it'll be a flat 4 attacks per model. So that's a huge bump up there. So previously they were D3, so it was really unreliable. On average you were getting 2, but so often you were just rolling a 1 and it just sucked. They've also had a little melee weapon datasheet change, as now it's a plague weapon, so re-rolling 1s to wound is quite nice as well. So these guys should be getting a bit more use this edition now, especially with that more reliable damage output. We've yet to see their actual stat line, so keep your eye out for that one. I'm hoping for a few little stat buffs. The last topic of the day is the release of the miasmic Melania Fire, which is the new Deathguard fortification. So it comes with an ability called Putrescent Fog, which is an aura ability. So while a friendly Deathguard infantry unit is wholly within 6 inches of this model, it receives the benefits of light cover. Now if it was already receiving the benefits of light cover, then each time an attack is made against the unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So this is going to really strengthen your backlines, giving you a +1 to your save roll. And if you're already wholly within terrain, then you're going to get a -1 to hit on top of that. So it's pretty much like dense cover, except it's also working in combat too. Now this thing appears to be 2 separate models within the photos, so most likely they're going to need to stay within a certain proximity of one another. But they look like they cover about 10 or so inches in diameter, so adding that to the actual aura ability on top, it's going to give them an approximate 16-inch bubble to benefit from cover from. Now this is going to really strongly aid any infantry units that are looking to hold fort within your deployment zone, so any good gunline infantry especially will love this. So that's it for today's Deathguard news. If you haven't already, check out parts 1 and 2 to get yourself up to date with the Deathguard releases coming out in early January. So not too long now before they come out. So guys, before I go, I just wanted to lay your attention on the new podcast that's going to be hitting all media formats at the start of January. So it's 2 friends that have a weekly chat about movies, tabletop games, comics, Dungeons and Dragons, TV shows, video games, and all sorts of other general geekery. So if that's something you're interested in, then get them saved on whichever format you're going to be using. You can listen to them while you're at home, or maybe while you're out and about at work or driving. It's an easy listen, so give them a try from next week onwards. That's the Nerd Bunker. So here's their advert.
Please remain seated. You are now entering the Nerd Bunker.